Crime Curious is a true crime podcast that takes an in-depth look into real cases through the lens of a trained investigator and former prosecutor turned judge.
If you are sensitive to expletives, anatomical descriptions, and accurate descriptions of crime scenes, this podcast may not be suitable for you.
Welcome to Crime Curious. I'm Charnel.
I'm Megan.
Hi, Megan.
Hi, Charnel. It's been a while since we've been alone together.
I know. It's nice and intimate in the studio
Got
today.
rid of the spare.
We did.
Kidding. I love him.
Brain Bath Jason.
He had to leave.
It's
8 o'clock at night on a Tuesday, and I'm in the midst of busy, conference season and going places, but I actually have a real vacation planned at the end of the month. So I'm like, Charnel, I'm at your disposal. You keep me as late as you want tonight so we can make sure we record for our friends.
Yes, so we're getting several episodes kicked out tonight, but Jason is actually having surgery tomorrow, so he left early from recording tonight. And
we'll say a prayer or a blessing or
send him some healing.
Whatever you do.
Yep. It'll be just fine. Everything will be fine. But he probably will miss next week's recordings as well, depending on how his hip is doing. So that makes him sound like an old man.
No.
He's not having a replacement.
You can take over his laptop and that. Oh no, we record the audio part here.
Yeah,
Never mind.
yeah.
I'm like, you can record it remotely.
Oh, well, he could.
Or we can just let him be in his medicated stupor and enjoy being high for a week and leave him the hell alone.
All of his medical things. We'll see what he wants to do. He
All
may
right.
want to join remotely, though.
I can pick him up.
That's a good call. He might want to
Load him up in a little wheelchair in the back of my car.
He's not going to need a wheelchair.
Oh, I can Yoda him in like a backpack.
It's an outpatient surgery.
Oh, yeah.
The dude's going to be just fine.
I feel like you underestimate how much Jason's going to milk this.
Oh, no, I already talked to his wife. I was texting with Nancy earlier today.
Yeah.
Basically sending her my condolences for the fact that she's going to have to take care of a sick Jason.
We're so sorry that your husband has to have surgery.
Seriously, it's going to be hell. And we're actually doing
I should bring her flowers tomorrow.
We're going to do a wine night on Friday, I think it is. And she's like,
come.
You are more than welcome to come. But she was like, I may need Friday and Saturday, depending on how he milks this. So she's already prepared. She knows.
That's amazing.
Oh, and this is the fun of sometimes not having Brain Bath Jason on so that we can talk total shit.
So we can talk about him?
We can talk shit about him, and he just doesn't know because he only listens to the episodes that he's on. Unlike you're a real diehard.
I've listened to every episode.
If you guys recorded episodes without me, I would listen.
I love listening to them. I think it's great.
But anyway,
I'm not saying I don't sit there and try to correct things.
Oh, I'm sure of it. And sometimes we openly say, Megan
I
is
wish Megan was here, and I'm like, no. It's okay. What are you bringing to us? Are we on a general audience episode?
So this is a general
audience.
This is a gen audience episode. If you're a $10 a month Patreon, you are seeing the video of this. That's a new thing that we've released.
Of Judge Meg and Just Charnel.
Yep, of Judge Meg and Just Charnel. And what I've decided to do, you know how sometimes we do some redos of cases. And
are we going to do a case redo?
We are. We're doing a case redo, but it is actually... It went down in history darn near 5 years ago to the day as our very, very first bonus that we ever released.
Not you and me.
Nope.
And your former host.
Nope. My former host and I.
Okay.
Yeah. The
so
Gen audience has never heard this one.
I may not have heard this one because even though I'd listened to every episode, I didn't join as a Patreon until after I'd been listening for maybe 2 years almost.
Yeah.
A year and a half. And I don't know if I made it back to all of the bonuses.
You might not have.
And do you know how hard they are to find now to start from the beginning on Patreon? They're pretty difficult.
Because there's 500
so
episodes
many
on
episodes.
Patreon. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. I mean, for the general audience, we're on 345 or 346 episodes.
So much incentive, though, if you wanted to join Patreon to listen to so much.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm
definitely.
excited. What is the case?
This is our very, very first one. And this case is actually linked to another episode that we released early on that you and I will redo at some point.
Okay.
Amber and I covered it during our cringeworthy couples Valentine's series.
Oh, I remember the general audience cringeworthy couples ones.
Yep, Otis Toole and Henry Lee Lucas.
Yes.
So this case actually has a loose connection with them, okay? This is the case of Sylvia Quayle.
Okay.
And that was why back in the day why I wanted to cover it. Is because it was connected with the Otis Toole and Henry Lee Lucas case. Okay. But let's start with beautiful Sylvia.
Who were linked to lots of cases, including the Walsh boy.
They did, yes. Yeah. Yep. For sure. So Sylvia was born September... by that, because we've had people request that, I will be doing the Walsh case at some point in time, for sure.
We've covered all of the other cases that surrounded the Walsh case in terms of perpetrators.
Yeah,
so.
but not the actual Walsh case. But I've read several books.
Read a fair amount.
And so I've got to get all of that research together. But anyway, back to Sylvia. She was born September 23rd, 1946 to William and Mary Quayle in Englewood, Colorado. The Englewood High School graduate that's where she graduated from. She was very ambitious, vibrant, friendly, and not to be cliche, but she really did become the life of the room when she walked in. They would often describe her as, "Oh, she lit up a room."
She lit up a room.
What they mean is the attention turned on to her when she walked into a room, not because she demanded it, but because she was just so friendly and vibrant
and warm. I know those people. Yep.
She also
we are those people.
Yes, I hope so. I hope people don't cringe when we walk into the room. But
I don't care if they do.
I have maybe from work some people might, but
fair.
She was a history buff and she had enjoyed researching, and there was an architect who was her uncle, Wesley Quayle. Okay. She really liked to research his work as well. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
She worked as a secretary at an architectural firm. She was an excellent cook. She also opened her own business specializing in wedding cakes.
Oh, she was a baker.
She was.
A pastry chef.
She had a lot of friends. She would have given her last dollar to any of her friends or family if they had needed it. She was an avid artist. She liked to create pottery. And her pottery, actually, her sisters kept throughout their home nearly 30 years later. So it wasn't just any crap pottery. It stood the test of time.
Did you ever make pottery in school?
Yes.
I made a little cup. It's gray. I put the handle on wrong. It's on like this instead of like this. I was a smart kid too. But
your handle was sideways.
I was not creative.
It was a pull.
Or I was very creative. It was a pull instead of a hold.
Okay.
And I'd been stealing my mom's coffee cups since I was 2. I should have known which way a handle went.
You should have.
But
you just weren't. You were probably too busy talking.
I was pretty.
That's That's why you were too busy talking.
Right.
Yeah.
To boys.
Yeah. And not paying attention to where you were.
Let me help you with your clay there.
So Miss Sylvia, here she is doing her pottery. I just named several different things that she was really good at, by the way.
We focused on
architecture.
Yes.
She was an artist, pottery. Plus being friendly on top of it and creative. She also was a really great big sister. She loved her little sister very much, and she was very close to her parents. They only lived about 150 feet away from each other, okay? Sylvia had a wonderful, loving relationship with her parents. She had coffee with them every morning. It was her close relationship with her family that actually resulted in discovering her death very quickly.
Okay.
Because every morning when she would have coffee with her parents, who lived, like I said, 150 feet away from each other.
Okay.
When she didn't show up for that typical routine,
they would call or check on her.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So Sylvia's home was at 3800 Olgan Street in the city of Cherry Hills Village, Colorado. And on August 4th, 1981, just before 8 a.m., her father, William, went for their typical morning coffee routine.
Okay.
He saw right away that the front door and the screen of Sylvia's door were open. As he went inside, he was met with a parent's worst nightmare. What he saw was this, as described. His daughter was lying naked, face up on the living room floor, with her arms above her head and her legs spread widely.
Okay.
She had a red-colored shirt that was pulled up over her head and left partially on her arms and covered only from her nose upward.
Yeah, this is totally 100% evidence of a sexual assault immediately.
Yep. There was also a white skirt-like garment left covering her entire face. Okay, so we have this shirt, this red shirt that was only pulled up from her nose upwards, but then her skirt was just covering her entire face.
It's like they just pulled every item of clothing on her body up as far as they could to hold her arms, get her arms above her head, and it happened to, and then the skirt made it up to here.
Yep.
I'm indicating the lower part of my face for those of you that can't see, but the rest of her is naked, exposed, and her legs are spread.
Yep. Her father, William, immediately called 911. 911 received the call for a quote-unquote woman down at 5:57 a.m. Dispatched police officers Gerald Marquis and Jack Duvall were the first to arrive. William told the officers that he had removed the white garment from Sylvia's face and placed it over her pelvic area for privacy. Because as her father, he's not thinking about the fact that he's tampering with a crime scene. He is thinking about the fact that he knows his daughter would not want him to see her frontal, and he is uncomfortable seeing her frontal. So he then had to just admit that he tampered with a crime scene.
That's so hard.
It is.
It is so, like, and how do you
I know
give
exactly
that?
why he did it.
How do you learn that as a warning in school? Do they have a class that says, so someday, if your daughter gets potentially raped and murdered in her own home and you walk in on it, you just need to walk away and leave everything. Don't try to cover her with a blanket or whatever. There's not a class for that.
There's not.
So you can't look at something like that and say he's a suspect or whatever.
No.
Anybody close to the family is going to be anyway, Charnel.
Right.
But people are going to react differently to seeing these type of things.
Trying to preserve her dignity as well.
I know.
It's just.
I know.
It was a dad thing.
It is a dad thing to do.
My heart just breaks. And
It
from
is.
if we didn't have the perspective that we did from working crime scenes and trying, you understand why someone would be compelled to do that.
I've seen this. I've seen these pictures,
And
right?
the police actually moved the garment back to its original place for investigative purposes based on how he described how he found it.
Okay.
The detectives on this case originally were Larry Whiteman and Richard Cross from the Cherry Hills Village Police Department. They called in the Colorado Bureau of Investigations, or CBI, to assist, which says they knew right away they were likely out of their scope of training and expertise. And so I do want to give some kudos that they didn't just try to use their ego and say, we've got this. They're no, we need CBI to help.
I appreciate a small police department or detectives that ask for help from bigger agencies because they want resources and want to do it right.
Yes.
There's no shame in that.
As they were investigating, they discovered that Sylvia had been shot with a .22 caliber bullet in the very top of her head.
Okay, so she's somehow lower than them.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
She was stabbed 3 times in her upper back on both her left and right side. There is visual evidence of her being strangled and, of course, sexually assaulted. And I say of course because of the way that we had already assumed based on how her body was found that she had been sexually assaulted.
And I put the words in your mouth if they didn't exist before, because as soon as you described it, that to me is just instantly evidence, at least to rule out of a sexual motivated assault.
But unfortunately, there was plenty of evidence that she had been sexually assaulted.
Okay.
John Wood performed the autopsy, and the report indicated that Sylvia's cause of death was actually strangulation due to the wounds. I'm sorry. my notes. I
Did
had
you
to
make up words?
Well, no, I had to pause there for a second because my notes didn't make a whole lot of sense. Anyway, she had wounds to her heart, aorta, and both lungs, and her cause of death was exsanguination from the loss of blood. That's what it was.
Exsanguination is, yeah, it is. That's what it means, is loss of blood, like vampires.
I was
and
missing syllables in there that didn't make sense. I'm like, that's not a word.
Exsanguination.
Well,
means
first of
blood
all,
loss.
I'm missing the sang in my notes.
explanation.
So I'm like, I know what this is, but I don't know how to say this without the right
Yeah. Again,
letters.
think vampires.
Yeah. She died of internal bleeding, which likely happened very quickly due to the report. There's also a secondary cause of death listed as the bullet wound to her head. That happened after the exsanguination.
After she bled out.
Yes.
Well, it may not have, though. Like, she might have been bleeding out or in the process of bleeding out, and then they shot her to end it. And, so you can have a dual cause of death.
You can.
They could have got away with not doing not shooting her.
Yes.
She would have
She
bled out
would have
eventually.
died anyway.
They were quickening the process.
That's why they put it as a secondary cause of death.
Okay.
As the bullet wound in her head. The investigators also discovered, besides what we already mentioned, that there was a kitchen knife close to Sylvia's body with blood on it, and it was covered with a shirt. There was a pair of white panties on the floor a few feet away from the knife, and Sylvia's hands were covered in blood, and she had several broken fingernails.
Did she grab the knife to use as a defensive weapon?
They used the knife the perpetrator used
on
the
her?
knife, on her right side and left side of her back.
Oh, you said that's right. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And so the broken fingernails, obviously defensive wounds,
for sure.
but she then had visible marks on her neck, elbows, and knees. Okay. And the mark on her neck were consistent with those of fingernails themselves as well. So there's a lot of scratches, things like that. She also had those same marks on her inner left thigh. She also had significant black and blue bruising on her left hip bone. There were several areas on the living room floor that appeared to have blood on them. The majority were found close to Sylvia's feet, but there was also some found by the front door.
Really?
Mm-hmm. She fought for her life.
Like, she made it to the door at some point to try to escape.
And then was just hauled back to the middle of the living room.
Oh, no, my heart.
A significant amount of the blood was also found on her pillow and on her bedroom floor between her bed and door.
Is this where she was originally?
Started there. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. So it starts there, and this is what they think happened. They think that she fought like hell for her life, scratching and clawing, and at one point even being close enough to the front door to have a loss of blood over there.
Right.
But after doing some interviews, they know that Sylvia had spoken to her little sister Jo on the phone around 11 p.m. on the night of August 3rd. Okay. And then her father found her just before 8 a.m. on August 4th. So they had a time frame to kind of go by here.
To narrow it, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they also discovered that the intruder had cut the phone lines to the home, both in the living room, and so they think that to the entire room, but from the living room is where they cut it. They think that this intruder was walking around doing this while she slept. They also know the intruder walked around the outside of her home, used a garden hose to sling across the black telephone line and pull the line down to cut it from outside as well. Okay. So he cut outside and inside, possibly because he wanted to make sure, just in case that telephone inside wasn't connected to the one outside. I don't know. But he left the line just lying across the hood of Sylvia's car. Okay. There was also a telephone line on the other side of the house, and he did that as well, and then left that to lay in the yard with the hose. So he's basically covering all of his bases. He's covering every telephone line that he sees.
There's no way she's calling for help, is what he's making sure of. So, okay.
The hose had black marks on it, indicating how he had used this black hose to pull the telephone line down. Okay. And when you think about this, Megan, he's in the dark. So how does he know where the hose is? How to even where these telephone lines are? It's familiar? In the dark. He's familiar. If I were an investigator,
he's
that's
been
what
in
I
there
would
before,
think.
either invited or uninvited.
Right. Investigators also discovered that he had entered through a bathroom window. He had taken the screen out and hid the screen about 75 yards away in a bush.
He at least had he'd cased the place.
Yep.
So if he hadn't been intimately familiar with it before.
Then he had taken out things that she had lined in the windowsill, which were typical bathroom things that she had lined out.
Tchotchkes, man, little crystal vases and little vials and little perfumes and
She had hairspray.
Okay.
She had two curlers.
She was putting all of her actual necessities there.
She did have a silver canister and a small little silver spoon that were lying on the ground beneath the window.
For bath salts?
Yep. So he pulls this screen out and he takes all those things carefully out and puts them on the ground below the window.
Is that where they were found?
Yep. The window was not open, but it was also not locked. It had pry marks on it where he had pried it open. And so that is why they believe this is where he gained access. There was also a small hole in the screen of Sylvia's bedroom window. So did he try there first? Maybe. Maybe the window was, the screen window hole was already there. We don't know. Either way, though.
I mean, you're not just going to poke a hole in a screen to try to get through.
No.
If that was, it's going to be busted. It's going to be pulled out completely. That's just whatever. It is what it is. An observation.
I think that, yes. Well, they're clearly doing their due diligence
Absolutely.
here, let's talk about what they collected from the scene, because this becomes very important.
Okay.
They took swabs of Sylvia's body, specifically her breasts and vaginal area.
Okay.
They took the living room area rug her body was found on, and they took the white garment that was on her face and the white panties and the knife.
That's it?
They collected, yes.
What about the stuff in the bedroom?
The pillow and whatnot. I believe that they did collect that, but it doesn't become important evidence later that's used.
Okay.
Shall we say that? I'm just mentioning because they actually retained all 140 pieces of evidence in total.
Yeah.
But
isn't it clear that she was sleeping in bed and somebody broke in through the window and assaulted her while she was in her safest place, she thought, and then dragged her out and continued it? I know that, and I'm not a cop, right?
Yep. That is exactly what they did. But they do collect this, like I said, over 140 pieces of evidence. And some of it proves to be very, very helpful later on because
for DNA purposes.
Yeah,
Excellent.
it's subjected to DNA technological advances between 1981 and today.
And man, did we have some interesting rapists and serial killers during that time frame.
That's for sure. In 1983, the area rug was subjected to alternative light source testing and discovered that there was foreign substances that was found that did not belong to Sylvia.
So male
semen.
sperm, right?
Semen.
Super foreign, doesn't belong anywhere.
That's right. Basically, bit by slow bit, as technology improved, they were able to piece together more and more evidence about that night. And remember, as technology advances, these things don't just happen overnight. People have to be taught how to use the technology. The backlogs happen as evidence is sent for all kinds of unsolved cases. So the carpet was also then tested in 1995 for further DNA testing as advances were made. Then, in 2000, we had developed a sequence for an unknown male's DNA from the evidence that had been submitted. And
okay, so by unknown male, you mean that it's somebody who hadn't previously potentially been in CODIS.
That's right.
Okay.
And they placed this sequence in the FBI DNA index where it remained until 2020.
Okay, and then we got a hit in 2020?
Yep.
COVID. People were bored. It
was right
running.
before.
Okay.
It was right before. It was
right.
January 2020.
Yeah.
The Cherry Hills Police Department began working with a company called United Data Collect. That's wrong. It's United. Oh my God. I'm so tired.
Make something up.
It is so late on a Tuesday night. United Data Connect is what it's called, people. I'm not even going to delete that out. You just need to know the sacrifices that we make for this podcast.
Because we love it and we love you.
We do. So United Data Connect is a genealogy analysis company. And on May 6th, 2020, just after the COVID shutdown, the United Data Connect provided information to the police department of the possible DNA match as David Dwayne Anderson, born 10/7/1958, currently residing in Cozad, Nebraska.
Okay.
That's wrong. It's Cozad.
Okay.
I just completely transposed my A and D. It's Cozad.
It's 9 o'clock.
We have Nebraska listeners. Katie, one of our good friends and Patreons from
she's
Nebraska.
recorded an episode before.
Yeah, she has. She's probably like, Charnel.
I can't believe you did that.
It is Cozad.
Sorry. For those of you that had to watch, I was just blowing my hair out of my face. Are we supposed to know this name? Is this supposed to be familiar at this point?
No.
Okay.
No. United Data Connect also provided them with information showing that David Anderson was living in Cherry Hills, Colorado prior to, during, and after the murder of Sylvia Quayle.
Opportunity.
Uh-huh.
I need means and motive.
On January 17th, 2021, United Data Collect investigator, and it's actually, that's interesting. In my notes, it's connect and collect, respectively.
Yeah. It's one of them's right.
I believe that it's supposed to say the United Data Connect investigator went to Cozad, Nebraska, and did surveillance to determine the correct address of Mr. Anderson, which was 901 Ave Lane, apartment 11. Then,
care of Satan.
Yes,
care of Satan.
901 Ave
Hell
Lane.
90210.
Yes. Then investigator Fuller went dumpster diving.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
It's someone's trash is another person's treasure,
Sure
especially
is.
the cops.
Yep. Doesn't Jim Carrey say that on The Grinch as well?
He does.
Yeah, one man's trash is
Is
another man's
treasure.
Potpourri.
Yeah, he does say that. But even better for law enforcement and investigators, because once you have disposed of an item, you no longer have ownership control over it to necessitate something like, I don't know, a search warrant.
Yeah.
Because you can just go dumpster diving and get evidence that would give you enough probable cause to go get a search warrant. I love it when people throw shit out.
Yes.
This is why I'm a hoarder, Charnel.
This is why you don't throw anything.
This is why I keep things.
God. You don't even want to see her closet full of tampons. I'm just kidding.
No. Souls
mostly.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So Detective Fuller, he retrieved 2 trash bags from the apartment complex dumpster that contained discarded mail and bills from Mr. Anderson showing ownership of the trash bags. And then he collected a vanilla Coke can, great water bottle, great value water bottle is what I'm trying to say. So a Walmart brand water bottle.
Absolutely.
Spiced rum. And a Michelob Ultra bottle. See, that's where I would get it. You get me with the Captain Morgan every time.
Okay, but they're looking for the DNA, the saliva.
We are.
Of
like
these
I was
cans.
a part of this. They are.
She's
exactly.
like, of course I am.
Yes, that's
And
exactly what I was
I'm
doing.
going for the rum first.
Yes. Because you know. Actually, the Michelob Ultra is where you're going to get the saliva.
I was just
rum,
going to admit.
You're probably just pouring it in with your Coke.
Correct. I was just going to admit to that, too, that of all of the things you just named, as shameful as that is, it'd probably be the Mick Ultra. Because, one, I watch my carbs, but 2, I want a beer.
Yeah. Also,
So,
think about this. The vanilla Coke can, you got your water bottle.
vanilla Coke and the rum go together,
they
and they're
do.
going to be in a glass.
They are.
The water bottle, however.
And the Michelob Ultra, those are going to have the DNA.
Yeah, one of those have my DNA.
Mm-hmm. Yep. On January 29th, 2021, the DNA found on the objects retrieved from the garbage can were matched to the evidence that had been collected nearly 40 years before at the crime scene.
I love this old DNA shit as it's happening.
Me too. It's just beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
What they matched was this. On the carpet, Mr. Anderson's semen.
Yeah.
The swabs taken from Sylvia's vagina, Mr. Anderson's semen.
Okay.
The swabs from her breasts matched Mr. Anderson's
Saliva.
YSTR DNA which means the saliva. Mm-hmm. And actually, that they did that through the genealogical DNA testing, which we've talked about before on the podcast.
Did they identify ancestors of his to get back to them?
They
or he
did.
actually had it in CODIS?
No, the
saliva.
The saliva was done through Ancestry.
Okay. But the semen, he was in CODIS, or he was, because that had been entered. He had just never been in trouble
That's
before.
right. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So they found that in CODIS. And just so you know, the Y STRs are taken specifically from the male Y chromosome.
Right.
And lastly, the towel or garment that had been put on Sylvia's face,
Yes.
it had Anderson's semen and Sylvia's blood on it.
Okay.
So here's their evidence. So now they have an affidavit.
So I'm sorry, he used the cleanup towel to cover her face so he didn't have to look at her after he brutally raped and murdered her.
And it was actually her skirt. It was a white skirt type towel.
That's what he used.
Yes.
Yeah, David's a douchebag.
Yep, sure is. Now, the affidavit requesting the arrest warrant also noted this, quote, there was part of the carpet that was taken out of the police evidence storage unit in 2012 and accidentally discarded, but that mistake was later realized the same day and it was put back in the storage unit. However, remember how I said in 19, and that's an end quote, by the way.
I
but
know,
then,
it's just, can you tell that I'm getting concerned about
because of the chain of custody.
Chain of custody, thank you. And just the potential for it to have accumulated some other type of DNA.
Yes, which is easy for a defense attorney to argue.
I would hit that like so hard.
Absolutely.
Like,
Me
yeah,
too.
like a college girlfriend.
For sure.
Right?
Like, you cannot say that it
I'm
wasn't
gonna hit
picked
it.
up from being discarded.
Absolutely.
However, remember how I said in 1995 another section was taken off and sent in for more testing as technology advanced?
Okay, so some was preserved.
Mm-hmm. The affidavit stated that that piece of carpet remained in storage unit at all times, was never discarded, and was the piece of evidence that was used to make the semen DNA match to Mr. Anderson.
Good.
Yes.
We have something valid for a case
We
here.
do.
Otherwise, the prosecutor, me as a former prosecutor, friends of mine are prosecutors, this is called panic mode.
Yes,
right?
but they also used integrity in that they admitted a piece of the carpet had been accidentally discarded and then retrieved that same day. They still included all of that. Instead of just saying, here's our piece, our sample that we had tested in 1995, and that's a match, they were transparent about all of the evidence and all of its chain of custody. And
Okay.
I appreciate that.
I do
that
too.
That shows complete
Agreed.
transparency.
You have to be transparent about it when this shit happens, and it does. There are technical issues that come up, evidentiary issues. You have to acknowledge, we're not going to use this piece of information.
Yep.
Defense attorneys are going to bring it up. Well, it was compromised, so it must all be compromised.
Well, and that's just it. It was smart of them to do that because if the defense attorney had gotten a hold of that information and they hadn't been transparent about it, their whole case could have been discredited.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
First of all, the evidence, if they knew about it in advance, they would have done a suppression motion, and you could have had anything that had to do with the carpet, period, suppressed and thrown out. So, or they even could have potentially articulated that anything that was stored in that evidence locker, therefore, was no longer valid because of the potential for exposure and get it all suppressed.
Yes, exactly.
So,
if they were so careless with this piece and didn't admit to it, then they could have been just as careless with all the other pieces.
You know, I'm not dissing defense attorneys. I love me some defense attorneys. You only have to create reasonable doubt with a jury.
Exactly. The affidavit also noted that Mr. Anderson was arrested on many burglary charges between 1981 and 1986, where he had used taking out screens and hiding them to gain access to a bedroom window in those accounts, and he had worn gloves.
Okay, how many of those burglaries had rapes had sexual assaults associated
No, they were
with
just burglary
but
charges.
he had a history. He was leading up, right? This is our perpetrator that we watch because he's a sociopath, he's a psychopath, but he's starting with little entry without permissions, B&Es, and getting super like home invasion-y, maybe stealing stuff, but he's really out there seeking gratification.
Those are just ones that he was caught on. He was caught on the burglary charges. Here's what I would like to
explore
to say.
Okay.
Or, just throw out there. I wonder how many of those he was caught because the victim woke up.
Yeah.
So he was caught burglaring, I use that in quotations, because simply he hadn't been able to carry out the murder and rape part yet.
Well, the incapacitation.
Yes. So he was charged with burglary between 1981 and 1986, where they knew that he had taken out screens and he had gained access to bedrooms.
Okay.
But they woke up, in my opinion, I think that they woke up
Caught
him.
And he ran.
Called for help.
Okay.
Things like that. And so I think that is why, yes, I think that's why he hadn't made it. It's possible that there are more victims of his as well that haven't been connected with him
I think so
yet.
too, Charnel. And the other thing that I'm thinking about right now is, are there situations where someone was B&E'd and sexually assaulted where he never intended to murder and they are unreported? Some people don't come forward and report these awful traumas that happen, or there are ones that are reported that were just never linked to him at some point. We certainly don't have any similar situation yet where we have somebody who there was a B&E, a rape, and a murder that has been found, like this young lady was found, correct? At least not in the area?
Right. Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
I'm sure this guy has sexually assaulted somebody before. I just know it. I know he has.
Absolutely.
I feel it.
Yep. They note that there was no other DNA found aside from Sylvia's and Mr. Anderson's on any of the evidence, and that given the severity of her injuries, Mr. Anderson would have been in the home at the time of her death, not to mention all the DNA evidence that I already mentioned. I just say that just so you know what they were presenting in court.
Okay.
They were also presenting in court. This is a very small time frame for the murder.
Yeah.
Because of when she talked to her little sister and then her father discovering her body the next morning. We're talking a matter of hours.
He was
between
watching
11.
her, Charnel. He
Yeah.
was watching her
Yes.
when she got off the phone. He cut the telephone lines. He had scoped the place out. He had cased it.
Yep. Just like he had in any of his quote unquote burglary
Regular
places.
B&Es,
Yes. On February 10th, 2021, Anderson was arrested for first-degree murder of Sylvia Quayle. Unfortunately, her parents were not alive to see this come to close for their daughter. William died in 1999 and Mary 10 years later. But her little sister and her brother-in-law are alive, and they finally got to see some justice after 40 years of dealing with Sylvia's murder case being open.
All because in 2020, right before COVID, all of this DNA shit that got super popular started hooking up again, matching up again. I mean, again, the semen would have come through CODIS, but it would have come up to somebody else that had come up. I mean, just the one match. The saliva to go ahead with that and kind of additional evidence, right? Corroborating evidence.
Yeah.
It kind of links that all in. I love these cases. I love the science behind them and just how and what they can solve. It's great. Have there ever been any suspects in that case? Period.
No.
Okay.
No.
I mean, other than the usual, like they're gonna probably talk to her poor dad that found her, right? And then anybody that she might have dated, we clearly know she wasn't having any type of sexual relationship with anybody at the time because they didn't find any other male
They did not.
or female sexual DNA.
That is correct.
Okay.
And so they didn't have anything. And it's, it's not great because it's 1981, right? But still, just so you know, David Dwayne Anderson, and this is something that we didn't have in the first recording of this episode.
You have an update?
We do.
Okay.
He was sentenced to life with the possibility of parole after 20 years.
Where was this again?
This happened in Colorado.
Okay.
And so at that, it's pretty unlikely that he'll be alive. He was actually initially tried in March 2022, but jurors were not able to reach a verdict, and it was declared a mistrial.
So they get to retry the whole case. Prosecutors to start over, you guys.
They did.
It doesn't mean he goes loose. They usually recharge immediately, set bond again immediately, and just start the whole process over.
Yep, and they did. And
Okay.
at that point in time, he was found guilty.
I'd be interested in the mistrial, though. Did they have an issue with the evidence and the DNA and the scientific analysis? A lot of judges and courts are not letting certain things in and keeping things from the jury. And then sometimes it's juries who are having a hard time believing that link occurs. It's taking a lot of public education to get attorneys and judges and
And I think
jurors,
that's
the public,
I think that's
comfortable.
exactly why the jurors weren't able to reach a verdict, is because they were uncomfortable with understanding
the science
behind
yeah,
it.
I get it.
Yep. But then on June 30th, 2022, it was retried, and the jury found him guilty of murder, and he was given life with the possibility of parole after 20, which was the maximum sentence that the court could impose
Really?
underneath the 1981 prosecution statutes, is according to the district attorney's office.
Okay.
So that is how they did that.
I don't know Colorado state law, so I would
apparently
have to,
they go by the statutes at the time of the
the murder, not at the current time of charging. And
Yep.
I get that makes sense.
Yep.
I've seen charging documents like that as well. I don't know if I love it, but we have to be careful with retroactivity when it comes to certain laws and statutes. So clearly,
if he gets parole in 20 years, you guys, he'll be in his 80s.
okay.
He's in his 60s now.
And
he's born in 58, so he's in his almost 70s. In 2 years, he'll be in his 70s.
Yeah.
So
And I just have to remind people,
so
just because you're
almost going to be 90.
yeah, but just because you're up for parole, it doesn't mean you're going to get it. In fact, it's pretty rare that happens.
And I'm going to say, in this case, you guys, I doubt he would, if he's still alive when he becomes eligible for parole, simply because it took 41 years before there was justice.
I mean, he got to live an entire life. He lived an entire life having brutally raped and murdered somebody's baby who never got to have any life at all. Like,
exactly.
It's disgusting. It really is. And parole boards have hard jobs. We have cases all the time with them where they're quite critical. But this is one of those things that they're going. I think you're absolutely right. They're going to consider that, right? Yeah. Like, this didn't happen right away where you've done your time. You had 40 years to live a freaking life.
Sure did.
Got caught when you were 60 years old, and then you're 65 years old or something. Then you're going to come up for parole at the end of your life. Like,
right. No, I agree. I think that
if you're going to be a murderer, timing couldn't have been any better for you.
That kind of worked out for him, didn't it?
It really did.
Sadly,
in my opinion.
Sadly, it did.
Yeah.
And I do want to commend the police work, because this is a case where the police did everything that they could throughout the years to get the answers to solve this case. They collected the evidence thoroughly. They kept it in evidence.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I am positive this was probably a cold case type unit when the DNA starts coming through that was identifying these, either a special team through the Colorado Attorney General's offices or even federally.
Yep. Which takes special funding, by the way. It
does, because the local agencies down here, when we have cold cases that we prosecute and have just remained, we don't even have the staff to do that. The staff is trying to deal with current cases. So those old cold cases get opened up by our Attorney General's office here in the state of Michigan, or by special teams, special prosecutors, and special funding that comes up.
Yes.
And we don't have those very often. But I will tell you, I am seeing a lot of cases come through now, even in our tiny little rural town, that are have been taken over by the AG's office. So the Attorney General is bringing these older cases, or people who have absconded and are fugitives in other states that just had never been found, or we didn't have the resources and time to bring back.
Yeah.
So a lot of good things are happening in the law since, let's say, 2020, maybe even a little bit before that, in terms of where we are now. Yeah. We will always continue to make progress when it comes to solving crimes.
Yes.
I mean, I never wanted to get it quite to like iRobot style. We know that you're going to commit a crime in the future, and so we're going to take care of it now. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And hopefully juries become more accepting, and that judges and the public do as well.
And they do a good job of explaining the science behind it.
You have to.
Yes.
And if it's bad science, then the defense attorneys need to continue to do their jobs to poke holes in it until the science is better.
Correct.
Until it can be trusted.
I agree. Sylvia's gravestone actually had a saying that said, "Beauty seen is never lost," as a reminder of what a beautiful person she was.
That's
which
really
I just
beautiful.
loved.
I would say, is that a quote of someone or something, or is that just something her family said about her?
I don't know, but it's in quotation marks, so perhaps it is from somebody else. But I loved that. Beauty seen is never lost.
Yeah, and
so I just wanted to make sure that the public knew that as well. But yeah, that's our very first bonus case ever that we did, the solved cold case of Sylvia Quayle. And I believe that you're going to bathe us
I'm
from
gonna-
our very own listener.
I'm going to bathe us from a listener who, let me verify here. Did she give us permission to use her name?
Yes.
She did.
I just read this email
Okay,
a couple
perfect.
of days ago.
So Angelise sent us this. Hi, Angelise. And she sent a few messages on Patreon. And you typically answer, just so you know, it was Charnel that was answering on Patreon, but I did read it too. And this was after Angelise had listened to the first episode after
I think
the
she goes
brain
by
bath.
Angel.
Angel? Okay.
Yep.
So the Angel had listened to after Jason got back from his wedding. She said, I know it's been about 6 months, but congratulations. Because she just listened to it in like November or December.
Yeah.
And because she was commenting about having stickers on the sliding glass doors. This is when we had discussed, for those of you, maybe general audience members who don't know, that Jason's mom had a sticker on the window of birds, and we just had a moment.
We did.
I think only the Patreons know about this. So the general audience is like, what the fuck is she talking about?
Right.
Anyway, I digress. She, as we're having a nice conversation with a Patreon who clearly listens to all of our private and fun things we talk about, says, also, I have a brain bath for you. So I couldn't stop laughing at this. It makes me a terrible person.
It reminded me so much of my mom. I
Right?
was loving
Okay.
it.
So a little while back, a little backstory. My sister-in-law has been part of our family since they were both teenagers, so roughly 15 years. Her left arm only goes to the elbow. Okay.
Yeah.
So she probably looks like an amputee, but it only goes to the elbow.
Yeah.
And she's really good about making jokes about it. So for the brain bath, this was years ago. She came over to my mom's house and she was showing my mom that she just got her nails done. And she goes, aren't they cute? They even gave me half off, and laughed. My lovely mother says, half off? Where'd you go so I can go too? Me and my sister-in-law look at each other and bust up laughing. Minutes are going by and my mom is like, why are you laughing? And I look at her and say, how many hands does she have, Mom? And my mom goes, oh, and then her face gets red and she starts laughing. It's a story that never gets old. You can use this on air, and you can use my name, which is Angel. Sorry, Angel. You all are great and have been getting through some times, and she wished us a great year. And Angel, that is hilarious.
That
and
is.
If you ever listen to one of the brain bath only episodes that we've done where we went through like people who post TikTok or dating profiles, and you had the one gal who was also an amputee, and she was like, face 10 out of 10, legs 2 out of 2, arms 1 out of 2. Like, just people have got to be funny.
I know.
Arms dealer. She called herself an arms dealer.
Yep.
I love your sister-in-law already. That's just good humor.
Me too. I love people that can have senses of humor like that. I
Sure.
feel like that is definitely our vibe. And also, though, you need to know, my mama would have done the absolute same thing. She would not have got the joke. She would have thought that she could get her nails done somewhere half off. And that is why, God bless her. That is why we love the innocent, naive people of the world.
I'm making myself cough like you did a couple
yes,
episodes ago.
They make the world a better place with their innocence, for sure. So thank
Love
you
it.
for sending that.
Thanks,
and you
Angel.
guys are very welcome to send us your own brain bath.
Anytime.
To Crime
If
Curious.
you don't do it on Patreon itself, on the app, which is where she did, you can send us a private message from the Crime Curious website. You can post it right on there if you want.
CrimeCuriousPodcast.com.
Facebook.
Or email us crimecurious@yahoo.com.
For sure.
Yeah, and we will
Try to keep
read
up.
your funny brain bath. Yes. So
Yes.
please feel free to do that. In the meantime, though, thank you so much for listening to us week by week and keeping us on air. We really appreciate it. We hope that you keep it curious.
And keep listening.
Until next time.
Bye-bye.